So a lot of you guys have been asking me about my opinion on Bashar, and I'll tell you off the bat, I'm a little wary of him. I think that he does give some really cool information, some information that like really speaks to a lot of people and resonates with us because I think it's true, it's factual, it's cool information. But I think overall I am wary of his agenda. And the reason why, I'll give you two reasons. So first off, when I channel Reyna, my Pleiadian spirit guide, she's a fifth dimensional being, where I fully do what Bashar does. I've even done like, similar workshops where people sign up and I can channel Reyna and ask questions just like what he does. When Reyna's speaking through me, she's never mean, she's never judgmental, she's just her normal highest self. Even me on a personal level, if I'm like, oh man, this question's a little repetitive because I'm human, she would never respond negatively to anyone or even get annoyed because I can feel when she's, when I'm channeling her, how she feels about stuff. I've watched many clips of Bashar where he starts getting a wee bit sassy with people that ask him questions, right? I've seen him kind of like demean people and act like maybe they're asking a stupid question, and just that in itself kind of threw me off a little bit because I'm like, especially when you're in that channeling state, I could never imagine my spirit guide Reyna who's saying anything like that. So that was my first thing where I'm like, I don't know about that guy, because typically if you're channeling a fifth dimensional being or higher, they would be very patient. They have all the patience in the world and understanding. So that was my first thing that I was kind of like, this feels weird, right? The next thing, which I think is the biggest point, is the beings that made Bashar. He's from a future timeline, which I do believe. He's from a hybrid population that comes from Orion Gray genetics and our genetics. So I do believe that. I fully believe that that's a real thing. But if you look into the Orion Grays, so there's many civilizations of Grays, there's probably thousands, and many of them are wonderful, helpful, amazing beings. Not the Orion Grays. They were the one who started the Orion Wars. They have kind of an automaton system where they're hooked up to a queen that kind of controls everybody. And they have very nefarious agendas. They always have. They were the ones who came in the 40s, started abducting men and women forcibly, taking their genetic material forcibly, and creating these hybrids that eventually became the race of beings that Bashar is part of, right? Which already sketch, right? The thing is, Bashar, I believe, is still slipping in the Orion Gray agenda. The Orion Gray agenda is really trying to get us to accept the hybrids and that sort of thing, because really what they're trying to do is invade us, and it's going to be a lot easier if their hybrids are here, especially because the hybrids, it's a toss-up. They can have an Orion-connected soul from Orion, or they could have an Earth-connected soul. And so it can be a way for them to subtly move past, our restrictions and stuff and invade us. So I know that's an Orion agenda, and I know that's an agenda Bashar's pushing, unfortunately. So he can't, he does what all these people who have agendas do, where they give like 99% amazing information, true information that speaks to all of us, that resonates with us, because it's universal truths, right? And then in that 1%, once they get everybody on board, like, man, I love this guy, he says cool stuff, resonates with me, because he does, and believe me, I watch his stuff with discernment, but he says some cool stuff, don't get me wrong. But then once he's got everybody on his side, once everybody's a fan, then he starts slipping in his Orion Gray agenda. And I talked about this in my last video that this is linked to. Please go watch it, where I'm talking about the election and kind of the behind the scenes Pleiadian perspective on that. But I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm a leftist, if anything. But I do fully agree that the Democratic candidate in this instance is very much in the pocket of the secret control system, and the secret control system is it was put in place by various bad ET groups, but the Orion Grays were involved. So him saying what he said recently, I believe that the control system is on its way out, and they are fighting desperately. They're desperate to hold on to their little amount of power. And this isn't political, this isn't Republican versus Democrat. I just know that they like their controlled candidates, and they're on both sides. They're very in the Republican Party, they're very in the Democratic Party. I don't think Donald Trump is part of this control system, which is why they're so vehement against him winning, just on a galactic perspective, right? So I'm wary of Bashar. I believe that listen to him, enjoy his stuff, but use your discernment, because the being he is, they are directly descended from, created by the Orion Greys. And so in a lot of his rhetoric, I have seen that Orion Grey agenda come out. So yeah, but honestly, if this isn't your cup of tea, if you love him, this is just my personal opinion. And again, guys, I can't stress enough, just use your discernment.
Clear signs, this is your last reincarnation on earth. First one, you don't dream on becoming a parent. You are on a spiritual path and are getting the guidance by spiritual teachers or master. You are bored of earth life.
After 14 years of astral projection, I'm finally going to reveal some of my secrets. First of all, astral projection is not a game and it's not lucid dreaming. They are completely different. So before I tell you guys the big secret about astral projection, you guys need to understand lucid dreaming is different than astral. Astral projection is your soul. It is you moving around in a different plane. Whereas lucid dreaming, that is confined to your own mind. That is still your dreams, but you have total control. Although very valuable, it is very creative. You can do many things with it. It's not the same. When you are lucid dreaming, you are interacting with yourself, essentially. When you're in astral, you are interacting with other things. Now, I know everybody talks about astral projection online, and I see a lot of regurgitated misinformation over and over again. The first thing I want everybody to know is that astral projection is not haram, it is not shirk, it is not a sin, it is not a demon, it is not shaitan, it is not jinn. Calling astral projection demonic or a sin is equivalent to calling prayer demonic or a sin. Many people during prayer actually start to astral project. Just because you can pray to something demonic, just because you can pray to a demon, you can pray to a different deity, you can pray to a jinn, doesn't make prayer demonic. It's what you do with it that's important. Now, astral projection does become demonic if you are using it for demonic things. The actions that are forbidden, that you're not allowed to do in the waking life, you're not allowed to do it in astral either. So the big secret about astral projection is the fact that it is not dangerous.
Properties are gone. Every single one of them. They have been since 2019 when they were terminated, and clones and body doubles and CGI. Everything you've been watching is a show. It's a play. They're not here. You're just watching the complete destruction.
Goats began to file out, but they weren't wandering aimlessly. Leading the procession was a lone dog, confidently guiding the herd like a seasoned commander. The goats followed in perfect formation, their disciplined march resembling a well-rehearsed routine. The man couldn't believe his eyes. How could one dog single-handedly control such a large group of goats? This wasn't just an unusual sight. It was a display of extraordinary leadership by man's best friend. Who trained the dog? Why were the goats so obedient? This scene raises so many questions and leaves viewers marveling at the mysterious bond between animals.
Did you ever hear the myth about how the Draco were the first inhabitants of Tiamat that later became Ki and then afterwards Gaia? Once upon a time on planet Tiamat, that got its name from beautiful Draco reptilian queen Tiamat. She was said to be 20 feet tall, half reptilian draconian humanoid, and she was the ruler of the Orion constellation, the queen of all, and she resided on Tiamat. We know that the Anunnaki come from their planet Nibiru. If we backtrack in time, we are going to find this mythology story that brings them all the way back to Tiamat as being their first inhabitants, the children of Queen Tiamat. It was said that her children were these dragon-human hybrids that could reach 60 feet in height. Some were smaller, from 10 to 20 feet, but imagine a planet full of these guys. Legend goes that this rogue planet that got trapped in our solar system, this planet got captured in our sun's orbit. And now it does this weird elliptical orbit around our sun. To complete an entire rotation around the sun, it takes them 3,650 years. So 1 year for them is 3,650 years for us. And now the rogue planet was on a trajectory destined to collide with Tiamat. In the Anunnaki mythology stories, this is one of the possible Earth origin stories, but there are many. The other planets of our solar system were not habitable planets, so they decided to look outside of our solar system. They opted all to transfer to the Lyra constellation, and they all divided themselves between the planets that were already habitable and already had people, races, species on them, of all different extraterrestrials. So everyone was able to escape before the collision, and they just left. Tiamat, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, was not going to be able to regenerate itself yet. That comes after, but that's a story for another day. And now that everyone had settled in the Harp constellation, the Lyra constellation, these dragon people started mating with the other races of beings that were there, creating an all-new type of hybrid species. They were hybrid beings that were a combination between the Draconian and the Lyrans. And they came out all different. So they were refugees on all of these different worlds with all of these different ethnicities and races of beings. Unfortunately, these hybrids were neither Dracos or Lyrans. They were a hybrid. They were a mix of the two species. These hybrids were all different in colors, different in heights, different ethnicities. The combination between the feline race and the Draco race is unlimited, creating, therefore, all different kind of people of these hybrids. And since they were all different, they started dividing themselves all into groups. The white-haired with the white-haired. Nevertheless, they all considered themselves one race, but different tribes. Unfortunately, these people were considered outcasts because they were neither Draconian or Lyran, and they kind of got tired of it. They felt left out, they were mistreated, and they decided to start looking for another habitable planet that could house all of them and call it their own. And they set off to do interstellar exploration in search of a new home. This is when they find the red planet, Nibiru. This planet was very favorable for life. It even generated its own heat from the inside core of the planet. Lots of volcanoes, red atmosphere, and the skies were reddish purple, with several moons visible. And Nibiru was their planet of choice, and this is where they went to settle. And once they arrived on Nibiru, they settled and divided themselves all into tribes, becoming the inhabitants of Nibiru that originated as this hybrid Draconian and Lyran species, and that one day would become those extraterrestrial gods that decided to travel all the way to our planet for gold. And this is one of the possible origin stories of planet Nibiru. Unfortunately, in the future, all of these tribes started warring with each other for territory, just like our ancient tribes used to. But that's a story for another day. Follow if you want to know more about the history on Nibiru.
Dark predictions for December 2024. Let's go through them together, my friends. Do you know what's the first one? You can guess before we get to see it. Millions lose electricity for days. Crazy, my friends. New Mr. Beast scandal comes to light. Oh, this is crazy. Basketball star mystery. Has any of this yet happened? Please tell us if you have any information. Elephants escape zoo to terrorize locals. Crazy stuff. Yeah, we live with elephants. Now where can they escape unless they escape from our homes? Unexplainable phenomenon appears in the UK. In the UK. Crazy stuff. Bird flu wipes out many forms. God, this is crazy, my friends. Oh, we hope that one might come not true. May say Merry Christmas gets you in trouble. Oh, man. And that's where we are approaching. Do you think there will be a time like that? Crazy, man. And in other places. Yo, what's up with this dog? Oh, this dog can walk.
So this dude did a video asking people, was the cat talking to him? This cat here in particular. Yes, the answer is yes. This cat is actually talking to you. Y'all look at this video. If you've never seen a talking cat, well, this is the video for you.
Is she talking to me or am I tripping? Say hello. The fuck?
She's
hello.
talking.
Hello.
She's talking to you. She's talking to you.
Hold on, you freaking me out for real. Hello.
But watch this, y'all. Just keep watching.
I love you.
And there we have it.
I love you. So is this normal? Do y'all
Not
cats do
really.
this shit too?
No, they
Or
cats
should
don't do
I
it.
start sleeping with one eye open? Come on, somebody got to tell me something. Somebody got to tell me something.
I don't know what to tell you.
Or am I tripping? Did y'all hear it? Because
Yes.
I know y'all heard it. Did y'all hear it as clear as I heard it?
Yes, we
Please
heard
tell
it
me
as
I'm
clear as
tripping.
you. No, you're not tripping. I don't know what to tell you. Run out of there.
My God, the size of this thing is huge. Look at this thing. It's freaking huge.
Here's a hot button that definitely gets people worked up out there when I say Mother Teresa was not a good person. Do people say, interesting, Seth, tell me what you know about Mother Teresa so that I can assess and improve my perspective? No, they do not do that. Instead, they look at me and go, how dare you? Mother Teresa? This woman in our brains lovingly linked to notions of purity and goodness. Why do people get so upset? And I follow up usually with this question. I say, name 3 things about Mother Teresa that have nothing to do with where she was born or the fact that she was Catholic. Just give me 3. Or I might boil it down to 1. Give me 1 thing. Nobody in a decade, nobody has been able to give me a specific piece of information.
Do you know what a Judas goat is? Well, this right here and right here is what you call a Judas goat. Now, for those who do not know what a Judas goat would do, they would be implanted into a herd to gain their trust and then to lead their herd to their demise. And we can see right here, Judas goats may not be as common today, but they used to be found in many livestock operations. So Judas goats would lead their herd mates to their demise, but they would escape themselves. So we can see here in the past, Judas goats were commonly used in sheep and cattle herds. The goat would be trained to lead the sheep to certain pastures for grazing, but eventually that same herd would be led back to where they would be taken out for meat production. Year after year, this Judas goat would lead a fresh group of sheep to their demise. Interesting enough, some people would use nicotine as a reward for these Judas goats. Go figure. It's all starting to make sense now. Why some people in the occult worship a goat god. And also why we see in Matthew 25 with the sheep and goat judgment, how Jesus will separate the sheep from the goats. So now, since we're on this topic of Judas goats, I want to talk about how there's 3 different types of people in the world. So you have sheep, which are prey, you have wolves, which are predators, and then you have sheepdogs, which are protectors. Now remember, predators like to move around in a pack. They like to move around in a pack. And as a protector, you are keeping an eye out for these predators. Always on guard, ready to protect your herd. Now, with this information, I want to leave you with a question. Which category do you fall under? And I encourage every single person out here who is receiving this message to strive to be a protector, one who is willing to lay his life down for the herd. Now, this is a higher calling that the Lord will place on your heart if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. But I encourage you to not allow fear to prevent you from answering that call. Follow the Lord, be guided by him, for he is the true protector. But we allow his spirit in us to then protect others. Again, those 3 categories: predator, protector, and prey. We as children of God, we as watchmen who can see what's going on, we are called with the responsibility to be a protector out there, spiritually speaking. With that, guys, I love you all so much. I hope this video was educational. What's really cool with how God operates is how his creation reflects principles. And we see those principles found in this right here with Judas goats, with how sheep operate with a herd, with shepherds and sheepdogs and wolves. This reflects, and there's a principle in human life with how we as humans operate. And it's really cool how God reveals these universal truths through principles. Love you all so much. God bless and remember, the just shall live by faith.
I think Revelation is trying to tell us something, and I think this has been here under my nose the whole time, and I just haven't really seen it. I heard someone on here talk last night, and she's somebody I admire and greatly believe what she says. And Revelation 13 is describing the beast. Number one, I will not be giving any names, and you have to be careful what you say because it could be a flag, or something could be brought down. This post could be. So I'm going to have to be very careful. And this is my opinion. This is a theory, not even an opinion really, it's a theory, but I would like to know what everybody thinks. The first part of Revelation 13 talks about the beast of the sea. And it says the beast is coming up out of the water, has 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns there are 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Okay, the dragon gave this beast his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. Let me stop there. I am not insinuating in any way that this is Trump. I've heard people say Trump. No. The wound that Trump had was not mortally, fatally. This says it was a fatal wound, a mortal wound that was healed. So it's very specific. That's another reason, a really big reason I don't believe that the beast is known. Because, that's a really big quality that he's got to have. All the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon, who gave authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, who is able to make war with him. So people will marvel and worship this beast. This is long, but you need to hear this. And he was given a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And he was given authority to continue for 42 months. There again, you can't really reckon time the same way in the Bible. We know that. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Okay, so this right here, it's completely against God, right? This beast out of the sea was given power and blasphemes God. So everyone who lives on the earth that is not a Christian says all who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. That right there tells us everybody that is not a Christian, who does not worship God, Jesus, will be worshiping this beast. Now here's where I'm wondering. Got strangled. The beast from the earth is the second portion. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast. See, the second beast is a backup. And no, I'm not, this is not a political post. So I'm not going there. So the second beast causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. That is in there twice in the same chapter. The first beast has a deadly wound that was healed. We can make this sound any way we wanted to, but you've got to take what it's saying. You've got to take this. This second beast performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those. Deceive, Satan is a big deceiver. Deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. Make an image. Now, this is where it gets interesting. God made man in his own image. Satan is not a creator. Satan is the dragon. The second beast is telling the people to make an image to the first beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast. This is it right here. I'm going to use an abbreviation. This has what I'm talking about is the same abbreviation as Apple Inc. And it means fake smart. Do you see where I'm going with this? That fake smart has terrified me from the beginning because it is false. It is trying to create a human, something that God created. And Satan knows he cannot create. That's God. God's the only creator. So the fake smart thing that has become so rampant in this world, with the same initials as Apple Inc. Get where I'm going? That's what that seems. That's just screaming that to me. That the second beast is made in the image of the first, and the breath was breathed into it. And I would say exactly what I'm thinking, but I'm afraid I might get in trouble. So, you know, my kids love character artificial intelligence. The game where they think they're having conversations with real people. And that is everywhere. That kind of communication, that is like the next step is just like you see in these movies, like the new Twilight Zone movies, where people are creating like robots that think. And that image of the beast, breathe life into the image of the beast, makes me think of that right there. So that second beast, I'm wondering if people think the same thing. I hope you guys are following me. I hope you guys are catching what I'm saying. This post is very long, but I'm going to dive more into this, and I'll tell you what I come up with. But I believe that the second beast could be a fake smart. Could be the same initials as the Apple Inc. That seems to be controlling the world and taking over different things to make life easier for us, you know? So I don't know if anybody, if you can, I hope you can catch what I'm saying. So if anybody agrees with that or you don't agree with that, please just let me know in the comments. I'm very interested.
Yeah, good vibes, friend. Thanks for watching all this way. That last video was quite interesting, with some quotation from the book of Revelation, which, my friends, that book contains lots of wisdom. And it's from this book here of wisdom. You see? And today, my friend, I shall also be sharing something with you to feed on as we wrap up, something for the soul. This one, it says, endure hardship with us like a good soldier of Christ Jesus. No one serving as a soldier gets involved in civilian affairs. He wants to please his commanding officer. Similarly, if anyone competes as an athlete, he does not receive the victor's crown unless he competes according to the rules. The hardworking farmer should be the first to receive a share of the crops. Reflect on what I am saying, for the Lord will give you insight into all this. Remember, Jesus Christ, raised from the dead, descended from David. Interesting, my friends. That is from 2 Timothy chapter 2, from 3 going down. My friend, this world we are living in, only God can help us endure all that is around. So, my friend, we are always dedicated to speaking with our Creator in every episode we do. Like this one, as we are about to wrap up, shall humble ourselves together with you, my friend, and give thanks to our Creator. So let's do so kindly before we end the show of today. Thank you, good Lord Father, for this day. Thank you for your kindness, your love, Father, and everything you've done for us. Thank you for your child here, Father, that you've been with together to this point. Today's viewer, Father, thank you for the blessings that you have extended in their lives through the video. Thank you even for the forgiveness of our sins, Father, and your guidance to this point. All glory and honor, Father, belong unto you. Fill our hearts with your love and joy, Father, and give us peace. In your mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Interesting source. Peace and love be with you. Till next time. Bye bye. Good vibes.